My name is Danny Byun, and it's nice to be here with you today. I apologize that I don't speak Korean well, but we'll do a time of Q&A at the end, and I understand about 60% of Korean, so I should be able to answer most of your questions, and we'll have somebody to help with some of the translation as well. And so today we're going to be talking about planning your summer extracurricular activities. And so right now it's the middle of May, and many families and many students are beginning to think about the summer plans. And so we wanted to provide some information and some recommendations on how to prepare. And also, as we would like to thank those of you who are here today, all the guests who are here today will actually be receiving a free copy of our college counseling book. And so you have an evaluation form in your folder. And so if you fill out this evaluation form and you turn that in, then you'll receive a free copy of our book for coming to the seminar this evening. And so as we begin the topic for planning for the summer, this is a brief outline of the topics that we'll be discussing today. So first, I'll do a brief review of the seminar topics that we've already covered. And so some families here may have seen the previous seminars through the online website, but some families may not have seen that, and therefore we'll do a quick review. Then we're going to go into a conversation about resume building and summer activity strategy. And that's going to be the main focus of our seminar for this evening. And then we will do a short time of Q&A. And so in your folders, everybody should also have a seminar note page. So if you write down your questions on this note page, then I'll answer all the questions at the end, and that will help us to go through the seminar a little bit more quickly. So we've covered a few different topics during this seminar series, and I'd like to just briefly review two of those topics that will be relevant for our conversation this evening. And the first one is about college admission. So as we talk about summer activities, there are many different options that families have to choose from. But as we plan our summer activities, we want to create value and create benefit for the college admission process as well. So as we talk about college admission in America, there are two main parts that students are asked to focus on. The first one is the academic. And as we talk about the academic preparation, we're talking about GPA and your high school record. We're talking about testing with SAT, ACT, SAT2s, and AP testing. And so that's going to be the topic of our next seminar. Testing for college. But as we talk about college admission, the academic component is primarily based on these things here. Now, the non-academic is the area where most students and most families have questions. And this is going to be the focus of our conversation this evening. So as we talk about non-academics, we're talking about extracurricular activities or summer activities or school clubs. But as we talk about non-academics, we're also talking about different academic experiences. And we'll talk about that more in depth as well. And the third part of the non-academic preparation is developing special talents. And so these are the primary parts of the college preparation process here in America. And so before I go any further, I'd like to ask, how many families here this evening have students who are in 11th grade? Class of 2014, okay? 10th grade, any families with students in 10th grade? 9th grade or younger? Okay, so pretty evenly divided. And so that'll just help me to understand who the guests are this evening. And as we're broadcasting live, we have families who are watching with students of all different age ranges, and so I'll be talking, for all the various age groups as well. Now, the second point that I'd like to review from the previous seminar has to do with the college admission process, specifically, who is the college admission officer? So as we talk about U.S. college admission, most colleges have an admission process where there is an admission officer who reads each student's application. As they read the application, they're reviewing all of the academic parts and they're reviewing all of the non-academic parts. That admission officer will read all of your essays. They'll read the letters of recommendation. So they'll read the full application, and that person is going to be the one who mainly handles a student's application. So as we talk about summer activities and as we talk about summer preparation, let's remember the admission officer's job, and let's remember who the admission officer works for, because this will really help us to understand how to prepare for the summer as well. So, who does the admission officer work for? First of all, the college admission officer works for the school and the student community. At FLEX, the way that we always talk about this part is, even if you have perfect grades, you have perfect GPA, you have perfect SAT score, everything in your application is perfect. If you're a bad student, if you're a bad person, if you're going to go to the college and make trouble, they don't want you. No matter how smart you are, if you're going to go to the college and make trouble, the colleges don't want you. And so the admission officer's job, as they work for the school and the student community, is to find students with good character, good people. They want good people at their schools. So, that's the first group that the admission officer works for. The second group that the admission officer works for are the professors and the school faculty. So, when colleges are trying to recruit good professors, they're always talking about the students at their school. And admission officers are trying to scout the best students, not the smartest, highest GPAs, but the students who love learning the most. And so, as you remember those things, we're going to talk more in depth about these things, but if you remember those things about the college admission officer's job, that will also help you to prepare better for the summer and throughout your college preparation. At FLEX, we actually have a team of over 20 college admission officers, former college admission officers who work with us and work with our families to navigate this college preparation process. And they're able to provide us inside information about what colleges they're looking for. And so from that team, that's where we develop the knowledge, and that's where we've gathered the information to be able to advise families on how to prepare for the summer. So keep in mind these things about the admission officer's job, because that will really help as we plan for the summer. So, as we talk about summer activities and as we talk about summer planning, we're really talking about how do I build my college resume to have the maximum benefit during college admission? What kind of activities do colleges want me to do so that they will accept me into their schools? These are the main topics that we talk about as we prepare for summer. Now, many families, many students also do academic preparation during the summer, right? So we study for the SAT during the summer. Or if I'm taking AP classes, maybe I have AP summer homework. Or maybe I'm doing summer school. So there are a lot of different academic activities that students must pursue. But colleges don't want you only spending time on academics. They want you to have different types of experiences during the summer. And so many colleges in their application, they ask the question, what did you do the last 2 summers? So if you apply for college in 12th grade, that means what did you do the summer after 10th grade, and what did you do the summer after 11th grade? And on your application, if you write down, I went to SAT Hagwon, I took summer school, that's not what colleges are looking for. When colleges ask the question, what did you do the last 2 summers, they're talking about activities. Or they're talking about what kind of life experiences have you had that will have a good impact, a positive impact on our college community. And so as we talk about summer planning, today we're going to focus on extracurricular activities. What do colleges want students to do over the summer that will have a benefit for college admission? As we talk about this topic, the first thing that I'd like to do is talk about what should students and what should families not do? Okay? What should you avoid? That's the first thing that I'll talk about. Number 1, you see here, do not give unlimited access to the internet. Okay? I worked with tens of thousands of students during my time at FLEX. And the number 1 biggest problem that students have today is internet addiction. It's video games, it's Facebook, it's YouTube or videos. Students who have an internet addiction have a big problem getting into college. Okay? In Korea, they have internet rehabilitation centers. Like if you have a drug problem, they have drug rehabilitation centers. In Korea, internet rehabilitation centers are popping up all over the country. I guarantee you within 5 years, we will have internet addiction rehabilitation centers in America because it's that big of a problem. It's the number 1 biggest problem students have today. So parents and families, we really need to monitor those things. So I have 3 children, 3 years old, 2 years old, and 6 months old. Okay? And my children, they can take an iPad, they can turn it on, they can scroll, they can find the internet, and they can find their videos. They can scroll, find pictures, they can scroll and find games. My 2-year-old son, he can barely even talk, but he knows how to use an iPad. I'm not kidding. So many students and so many children, they see it from such a young age. And then, I love the internet. So they see mom and dad watching videos online, or they see mom and dad, Facebooking or checking email. And children want to play with the internet. And there are so many problems with the internet. There are a lot of good things, but we have to monitor what the students are doing. Okay? If a student writes, what did you do the last 2 summers? If they write video gaming, Facebook, videos online, that will not help for college admission, right? That will hurt them. And so we have to really be careful about that. The second thing that I've seen families do, and I actually talk about this in my book, the second thing that I see families do that we really need to change, especially as Koreans, is do not adopt the herd mentality. And let me explain what I mean. Koreans like to move together. Okay? If my friend, her son got into an Ivy League college and he was a Boy Scout, then everybody wants to do Boy Scouts. Or I heard that colleges like research internships, summer research internships. Then all the Korean families want summer research internships. Korean families always move together. And in Korea, you can move together. Okay? But it's totally different in America. Because American colleges, they don't want to know how you're the same. They want to know how you're different. How are you different from all the other students? And so, there's a perfect example of this. About 15 years ago in New Jersey, there was a Korean student who got into Princeton playing the harp. The next year, another student got in playing the harp. So the whole Korean community in New Jersey, they said, oh, Princeton must love students who play the harp. But here's what the families didn't know. In the Princeton orchestra, there were two harpists, two students who played the harp. One was a senior, 4th year, and the second one was a sophomore, 2nd year in college. So the senior was graduating, and the sophomore was supposed to become the main harp player. But she transferred to Columbia. Now Princeton's orchestra had no harpist. So they take a harpist 2 years in a row. After they take 2 harpists, they don't need any more. Right? So if you play the harp, that will actually be a bad thing. And so in America, we can't move together following what everybody, my friend's daughter did this and got into this school. So this is what I'm going to do. That's what we call in America, we call that the herd mentality. And that's something that Korean families really must change, because colleges really want to know, how are you different? And so we'll talk more about this topic as well. And the third thing that I'll mention is, Korean families, we need to stop focusing too much on the SAT. Okay? So FLEX is an SAT hagwon. And I'm telling you, don't do too much SAT. Because it's not like Korea. In Korea, the national exam, 1 time per year, you take 1 test. If your score is good enough, then you get in. If it's not good enough, then you study 1 more year, and you take it again, and you try to get in again. In America, if your SAT score is 1940 or 1990 or 1890, it's all the same range. If your SAT score is a 2280 or a 2350, it's basically the same range. I hear about a lot of students and a lot of families where they get 2340. And the families, they come and ask me, do I need to take the SAT again? No way. 2340? Good enough for every college in America. 2290? Good enough for Harvard. But because in Korea, college admission is focused on 1 test, that's why many Korean families focus too much on the SAT. So during the summer, we need to study for the SAT. But don't schedule SAT first. Schedule SAT last. Make all of your other schedule and then schedule SAT where it fits in. That's the right way to do it. In the Ivy League, at Yale, at Harvard, even at Stanford, when they talk to the president of admission, when they talk to the dean of admission of the Ivy League, and they talk about Asian students, they focus too much on the numbers. Okay? They focus too much on test scores. And we really need to move away from that one. And so, these are the things that we need to avoid. This is what families should not do. So then, if I don't study for the SAT and I don't play video games, then what do I do all summer? Right? What am I supposed to do? Well, these are the 3 main things that we recommend families focus on. These are the things that students and families should do. So, think back to the admission officer's job. I said the admission officer works for 2 different groups of people in the college community. The first one is the student or the school community. They're looking for students with good character. Because even if you're smart, if you have bad character, they don't want you. Even if you're smart, if you're going to come to my school and play video games all night, we don't want you. Because there's no benefit for our school. And so the first thing that families need to focus on, we need to identify and develop good personal character. What does that mean? Well, I heard that colleges like students with good leadership experience. Is that true? Yes, that's true. So leadership is one example of character. I heard that colleges like students who do community service. Is that true? Yes, that's true too. I heard colleges, if you start something, they want you to finish it. Is that true? Yes, that's true too. Those are all different ways that students can show character. But how do I do leadership over the summer? All my school clubs are done, so what can I do during the summer? That's what each student needs to find. How can I show good leadership during the summer? How can I do, so many school clubs, Red Cross Club, Key Club, so many different clubs do community service. But how can I do good community service during the summer? Right? So these are the kind of things that students should do to develop a good character resume. The second group of people that the college admission officer works for is the professors. Okay? Right now, I am not talking about academics. I am talking about activities. So, families need to identify different areas that students like to learn. I don't mean study for grades, and I don't mean study for tests. But there are some students who love to read literature so much, whenever they have time, all they do is read literature. There are other students who love to study science, so all they do is study science. Even during the summer, I have no school, I have no homework, no tests, but students like to learn. Intellectual curiosity. Are they curious about learning? And let me give you an example of this. At FLEX, a number of years ago, I was counseling a student. His name was Randy. He's a Caucasian student. His father's somewhere Eastern Europe. He's from Eastern Europe. And every Saturday, Randy and his father, starting in middle school, they went into the garage and they would disassemble the car and reassemble it. And Randy was learning about how car engines work. And he was learning mechanics. And Randy loved learning about mechanics. When other students are surfing the internet, he's reading mechanical journals, Popular Mechanic and other journals. Okay? There's no USA Mechanics Olympiad. There's no SAT-2 mechanics test. There's no mechanics class in school. This is something that he just loved to learn for fun. And when we built his college application and when we were writing his college essays, we could really see that he loved mechanics more than any other student who was applying that year. He had under 2,200 SAT. He had at least 1B every semester in high school. And he went to a good high school, and he took a lot of AP classes, so he did well in school. But he wasn't a perfect student. He got into Stanford early as a mechanical engineering major, and he got into other Ivies that he applied for as well. So his SAT score was under 2,200. He did not have perfect grades, but in this area, we're talking about professors. What kind of students do professors like to teach? They don't want students who only do the homework, students who do the minimum. College professors, they want students, if I'm in a mechanics class, when we have to read chapter 1, I read chapter 1, plus I read more because I want to learn more. If I'm a history professor and we just read in our textbook about the Korean War, right? 20 pages about the Korean War. And the student loves learning about the Korean War so much, after he finishes reading his book, he goes and finds other books and starts reading because he wants to learn these things. Okay? Those are the kind of students that professors want to teach. So many students, they say, I finished my homework, and they think they're done. Okay? And maybe you're done for school. Maybe you're done for your grade. But your college preparation is not done there. And so parents and families really need to work to find different areas that students enjoy learning, just for fun. Because if the students enjoy it, that's going to be the best way for students to learn. But you know, for Korean Americans, we always, not always, but many times, we focus on math and science because that's where we can get easier jobs, better jobs, right? But colleges are not asking students, what kind of job do you want? They want to know, when you come to my school, what do you want to learn? And so it's a different question that colleges are asking. And so as we think about the admission officer is trying to scout the best students for the professors, we have to work with the children to find the students to find different subjects or different areas that they may want to study during the summer for fun. And most students, they don't think studying is fun. But as parents, we have to work with the students to find those areas. And the third main thing that students and families need to do as we think about planning for the summer is when we talk about college admission, if you have some kind of special talent, that is the easiest and best way to get into college. For example, many Korean students are very good at art. Many Korean students are very good at art. But parents don't support art because if you study art in college, what kind of job will you have? It's too hard to find a job if you study art. But you can be a biology major and develop an artistic talent and get into a good college. Or some students these days, they like doing video. Okay, and they like shooting video and editing video. If you have a strong talent in video and media production, and you develop that talent, even if you're going to be a history major or an engineering major, doesn't matter. If you have some kind of interest and some kind of talent and you can develop that, that is the most powerful thing in college admission. As we talk about college admission, many different types of students apply for college. There are Asians, there are whites, there are many different types, right? There are boys, there are girls, there are students from the East Coast, West Coast, all over the place. The number one most successful group in college admission is the student athlete, the recruited athlete. If a student is good enough to play a sport for the college, that student has the number one best chance of getting in. So when you look at American families, like Korean families, Asian families, all summer we study SAT, and during the school year they go to hagwon and they get homework help and they do all this test prep. American families, they spend all that time and all that money on sports. And those students with lower GPA, lower test score, are more successful than Asian students. Not because we're Asian, but because the recruited athlete is the number one most successful student in college admission. Okay, so if your child has some type of talent, no matter what the area is, during the summer, that's a very good time to see if the student wants to develop that more and spend the time to really see how far he or she can go. So I'm in 8th grade, or I'm in 10th grade, or I'm in 11th grade. So specifically, what kind of things should we do this summer? What you see here is, this is what at FLEX what we call our activity triangle. And what you'll see is that it's broken down by grade level. So here we see the 8th and 9th grade students, then 10th grade, then 11th grade. So younger students, they should try as many different activities as they can. Because in 8th and 9th grade, most students don't know what they like yet. Most students don't know. And so they need to try a lot of different things: sports, art, music, community service, all different types of activities to try to find what they like. Then a middle school student tries a lot of different things. Then they go into 9th grade. Then they get to school and they see what kind of clubs are at school which support those activities that they like. If it's not there, then they can start one. But in 7th, 8th, 9th grades, that's where students really need to try as many different things as possible to find what they like. Then, when students get into 10th grade, they need to begin to focus their activities a little bit more. Okay? So, if a student likes music, then in 10th grade, they need to begin to focus more on the music. And they need to start trying to position themselves for leadership positions in future years. In most high schools, 11th and 12th graders get all the leadership positions. So starting in 9th grade, we need to find what the students like. Then in 10th grade, they pursue it more deeply so that in 11th and 12th grades, they'll have the opportunity to earn leadership opportunities doing those things. And colleges, they know if you try and you start a lot of things, they know you can't do them all for 4 years. I mean, in 10th and 11th grades, we start doing AP tests. We have to study for SAT and SAT2s. Colleges understand that. But what they want to see is, in 11th grade, they want to see some activity that you've been doing for 2, 3, or 4 years that you really focus on and you develop more deeply. And so each year, we're doing less activities, but we're doing each of those activities more deeply. That's how colleges want students to develop their resume. And so, as students try different things, if you're in 10th grade right now, if you have students in 10th grade right now, look at all the activities that you've been doing and try to find a strategy where you can develop that more in the summer and then even more during 11th grades. And then when colleges ask you, in 12th grade, they ask you, what did you do the last 2 summers? If you love Korean history, and that's one topic that you've really enjoyed studying. Summer after 10th grade, I went to Korea and I volunteered at a refugee camp. Summer after 11th grade, I studied under a Korean studies professor at USC or UCLA or at a community college, and I did a research paper on Korean studies. That's not for a grade, and that's not for a test score. That's an activity. And when you talk about different activities that you've been doing for the last 2 years, and they're connected, they're related, then the colleges can begin to see who you are as a student and how you will impact their school community. And so, to develop a more focused resume each year and to pursue those activities more deeply each year, that's going to be the key. And what is it? It's different for every student because every student has different interests, they have different background, and every student should pursue different activities. And that's where I'm saying moving together, when students move together and the colleges look at those applications, they all look the same. So many students do piano and violin and cello. So many students do community service, volunteering at the hospital, volunteering at the library, or going to Mexico during the summer for a mission trip with their church. So many students do those. So many students play golf or tennis or volleyball or soccer. So many students do the same things. And on paper, to the colleges, they all look the same. And that's why we need to help each student find their unique color. And the summer is the best time to try to find those things. A few other tips that I would recommend students and families consider during the summer. Develop your reading skills. 5-year-old, 6-year-old, 10-year-old, 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, 9th grade. Work on the reading skills. If there is one skill that students must have to be successful in high school, that is reading. Even if you're not good at math, if you have strong critical reading skills, you can be successful in high school. But you can't start reading in 10th grade and become a good reader. You have to start early. So, really working with students to develop a love for reading is important. Students should also try to master math word problems. Math word problems. Because the word problems, that's what tests students' mathematical problem-solving skills. And so when you talk about the SAT, it's all word problems. When you talk about higher level math, it's, trigonometry, pre-calculus, calculus. Those things are testing students' mathematical problem-solving skills. So if you have a student who's in 7th or 8th grade and they're doing Algebra 1, in Algebra 1, if you do your homework, then you can get an A. But if your student is getting an A, that's not enough. When you look at the test, when you look at the questions they get wrong, are they having problems with word problems? A lot of students, they get 100% on their homework and they get 85% on their tests. And when they get 85% on their tests, they're getting the word problems wrong. That's what parents and families need to look at. Does the student have good word problem skills? Because that's what it takes to be successful in higher levels of math during high school. And as I mentioned earlier, as students try different activities during the summer, do them in a very unique way. Okay, so a lot of students play sports, and that's good. Playing sports is good. But too many students play tennis. Too many students golf. If you're really talented in those areas, that's great. But if you're not, try a different sport. Try field hockey or lacrosse. But my high school doesn't have a lacrosse team. Then start one. Because East Coast private colleges love lacrosse players. They love lacrosse players. And especially for Koreans, we're not big football players. But you can be small and fast and be good at lacrosse. So try to find different sports that fit your student. Because if you do the same ones as everybody else, there's too much competition. When we talk about music, like I said, everybody plays piano. Everybody plays violin. Everybody plays the cello. Everybody plays the clarinet. I played all 4 of those instruments. I tried them all at least once because that's what my mom made me do. My mom made me try all these different instruments. And by the time I got to high school, I wasn't doing any of them. I quit them all. Okay? But as you do music, if your child likes music, try something different. Try something unique. There's the Korean drum, this hamulnori, or gayagum, or different cultural instruments. Try something different that when the college admission officer looks at your resume, it will have a different kind of impact. One of our college counseling students this year, she got into almost every Ivy League college, and her main activity was kayagam. And she was very good at kayagam. She actually went to an international music competition in New York, and she came in 3rd place. International music competition. She came in 3rd place. And so she got into Columbia, she got into UPenn, she got into a lot of Ivy League schools, and her main activity was kayagam. Colleges don't have a kayagam class or kayagam department, but she pursued this activity very deeply, and she developed this talent. And when college admission officers look at her application, she looks different on paper. And so try different types of things. Even with art, so many students do drawing and painting, but there are different kinds of art that students can do. You can do photography. So if you really enjoy photography, you can do a portfolio of your pictures and send that to college. Or a lot of students these days, they like doing digital design. And you can do design portfolio and send that to the colleges. Because it's very hard to be the best painter, because so many students paint, so many students draw. And so always try to find activities that are unique, that are different, because there's less competition, and it will make your student look different in the application process as well. And so these are some different things that students and families can think about as we're beginning to think about what we should do over the summer. At FLEX, because so many students don't know. So many students don't know what they want to do. And that's one of the biggest complaints that I hear from parents. Either my son doesn't know what he wants to do, or he doesn't want to do anything. I hear that complaint so much. And so we actually have something that we call our Palladian Counseling Workshop, where we help students to identify what their interests might be. And we start as early as 7th grade, because students need time to explore different activities. And so if families are interested in that type of a service, let us know, and we'd be happy to help. In our Palladian program, we go through a lot of planning and a lot of analysis to help students find their unique color. And so we start with a career or a major assessment. What is a likely major, or what is a likely career that students might enjoy? We do a full academic analysis. What are a student's academic strengths? What are some subjects that they might actually like? And with that data and that information, we work with our team of former college admission officers to come up with a plan that's personalized for each student. And because you don't want to do the same thing as everybody else. And so this program, for families who are here today, and for those who are watching from home, we're offering a special promotion for $995 for this program. And so if families are interested, you can contact us and let us know, and we'd be happy to help in any way that we can. And so you can see that it's regularly priced up to $1,800, and so it is quite a discount for families. This summer, Korea Daily is also hosting a leadership camp. We're talking about leadership activities during the summer, or community service activities during the summer. And Korea Daily, from June 24th to June 29th, is hosting a youth leadership camp at Pepperdine University. And FLEX will be actually offering a free assessment for students at this camp. And so a little bit later, somebody from the Korea Daily team will come forward to share with us more about this. But if students and families are interested, you can go to the website, www.leadership-prep.com, and you can register there, or you can find more information there. And so this is the kind of opportunity that students and families can try to see if there is an area of interest that they can find. And so I did want to make you aware about this. And so that's the end of my seminar. And so we're going to do a time of Q&A right now for any questions that you may have. And so we'll also have a person to come up and help translate if you need assistance in Korean as well. And so I'll stop right here, and then Mrs. Lee will come forward to explain how we're going to move forward next. And so, but I hope that information was helpful. Thank you.